What's going on, everybody? Today is Thursday, October 17th, 2024. We are back to talk about another episode of the Challenge 40, the latest week in the house. I got to tell you, I'm thrilled with what happened. I can't wait to hear Gina and Kyle's opinions.
Gina took a big hit, so
I was going to
Gina's
say,
not doing too great.
Gina took 2 big hits this week, and that's probably the best part of the week. You're wild today, Kyle.
It really kills me that they can't hear what you're doing during those videos.
I know. I
I've
wish.
been so sick the past couple of days. I've had no fun. So
You ready to have fun? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about this episode. So it's funny too because last week we talked a lot, right, about the Vacation Alliance, and this episode really featured the Vacation Alliance.
Center of attention.
Yes,
what did?
So let's just let's first just celebrate the fact that Gina lost both Casey and Devin.
Do you have to start there? We know Gina's never won a draft. We know Gina's teams always suck. We know.
Oof. But who are we first? Who are we?
Yeah, well, we lost Casey and Devin. Right? Out of here. Kara is good. You know, Kara's good that you still have left. I don't know, how do you feel about your team?
How do I feel about my team? I'm literally just taking hits left, right, and center. I am not making it to the end of this thing.
You never know. All you need is one.
That's true. All you need is one. You're still
as proven by Rachel today. All you need is one.
Yeah. I mean, okay, that's really weird. So we started this episode coming in. Rachel had actually just won the previous elimination, but still, by just being the only person left in her era, was automatically made the target for this week. And this, aside from the Vacation Alliance being featured in this episode, the other rock star of this episode was Rachel by far. Like, my God. So obviously we got to the daily challenge. This one was called Bottoms Out, right? And basically what we had here was each era had a station where they would have to complete as many equations as they possibly could. And the number of equations that they solved would actually determine how many sort of spots they had to hold themselves up on in this, container, the storage container that was hanging above the water. So, and then at this point, it was basically the team to last the longest hanging in this storage container would be the winner. The first team out would be the loser going straight to elimination. Rachel, only member of her team, she got 6 equations correctly, which was far less than anybody else. The other eras got, I think, era 2 might have had the most with 17. 17. Era 3 and era 4 had 14 each. So Rachel got less, but the thing here was that each equation was like a perch that you could use. So Rachel's the only one. She had 6 of them. She's good. She can put these perches in wherever she wants. Whereas you had like era 4 that only had 14 questions right. They had 7 players. That meant that only 2 people, two perches for each person. And Rachel killed us. She held on for over 14 minutes to be the winner.
Really crazy.
All alone, yeah. Solo mission. She completes it.
I loved her calling down, like, y'all can just go to lunch. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
What are you calling them, by the way? You're calling them perches?
Well, they're perched on them, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Why would you call them something different? I felt like I was
at first like handholds and footholds.
Yeah, I mean they were saying footholds. I mean I don't have a preference. I just want to make sure I was hearing it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about Rachel though in this and like, oh, I don't know how she's gonna win. I don't know how she's gonna win. She doesn't need to get as many correct as everybody else. Right. She only needs
She only really needs 4.
Yeah, 4 at most. I feel like you probably could have rocked out with 3 if need be. But like, as long as your feet are covered, you got like at least one hand.
Yeah.
You know, at least switch back and forth. But like 4, I mean, we're good.
Golden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything else is, that's just like, what is that? Icing on the cake,
Mm.
A little extra.
I do have a question about this. So obviously, awesome job by Rachel to win this when she really needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I do have a question. How would this have worked? This now winning this gave Rachel the sole power to go in and decide who would go into elimination
Right.
against Tori and Devin, who lost because Era 3 came in last place. But what would have happened if Rachel had come in last place? Only person in the era, only target that you can go after here would whichever team got chosen to go into elimination, would the guy just be off the hook?
It probably would have just
It would
been,
just be Rachel and whoever?
All right. And I have to say, while I'm happy for the outcome here, there is a wee part of me that did
Yeah.
wonder if this was manufactured, because listen, I don't, we don't know what the rest of the times were here, but you do sort of wonder. There were a number of times that Rachel looked very, very nervous. So you at least get the impression that the times were pretty close.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like kind of why we saw like the outcome that we saw at the end of this was. Wait, I missed it.
No, I'm just saying, like, Purchase didn't go over well.
Well, Liz liked it.
Liz liked it, but Kyler was like, Purchase. Your sister also thought you said purses. I mean, like, it didn't go great. That's all. It didn't.
Well, Gina knew what I meant, and Liz said she liked it. So I think we're half and half. I think it's going over just fine.
Wow. Okay.
Am I the tiebreaker?
No, I think you're part of the dissenters. You, Mary, and Kyler. Me, Gina, and Liz.
I wasn't really a dissenter, to be fair. I did add that it was not shade. I just wanted to be to be sure. But I just thought it was interesting that, your sister doesn't often chime in. And when she does, she was just like a jab at
Burn
you.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, I really just want to like bring some shine to that. But that's all. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go back to what you were doing. I apologize.
Well, what we were talking about, Rachel. I think you said you thought maybe there was some shenanigans, right? Is that what we were talking about?
It's potential shenanigans. This is kind of shenanigans though that I don't mind, like, because this was great.
Yeah, I was saying I feel like this is kind of why the episode ended the way it did, because they were like, "Oh shit, yeah, we probably should make it so that's not a thing anymore, huh?"
Right. It's like, yeah, let's cut this one short. We didn't think this one all the way through. It was really fun to put her out there by herself, but now that the game is going on, maybe this didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole start to this game has been interesting, and I'm in my head now. I'm thinking about like how they could have maybe played things a little differently to change the game up when it looked like Era 1 was going to be in like as much trouble as they were, like especially when they got down to 4 and then went right down to 2. Like, could they have done anything in daily challenges to be like, by random draw, we're gonna have 2 errors work together and the other 2 errors work together, like to kind of try to mix it up? Like, I don't know. Like, could you even do anything? Is that even feasible? I don't know. But just to kind of,
I suppose it could have been feasible, but the thing is, like, again, not to be like rude to Era 1, because they did bring us. These are the people who gave us the challenge, right? They are the foundation of the show that we love. But it was glorified field day games, back in the day. They can't keep up. Not to mention that they are significantly older.
yeah, I think that has more to do with it than anything, because I feel like, yeah, they did start in the beginning, but I feel like a lot of them, like CT, Anissa, Derek, Brad, they've all played recent seasons where it hasn't necessarily been those field day games. I think it really is more of a case of them just being old. Like CT has won recently, you know what I mean? Like it's not like any of them. They did those field day games and haven't been around for 20 years.
I just think that CT is kind of the exception, because the other people that you mentioned generally do perform poorly. Like, this is not shade. It just, if you just look at people's resume, Anissa, she does make it to a final, but she always rolls her ankle. It's always something that keeps her from keeps her from glory. Brad has been underperforming for years.
I think his best season recently was like an All Stars, right? Didn't he do pretty well on All Stars 3
Right.
maybe or something
All
like that?
Stars is also, while I think All Stars as a viewer is a superior experience to Main Stage Challenge, we're also talking about a game that John A won twice. So
Poor John A.
it's not on the same level, and to the same point that I don't even think that they view it that way, because John A did make some comments in some DRs that, like, she knows, oh, I won All Stars, but this is different. Nehemiah has said, oh, I haven't played a challenge in so long, even though you've been on almost every All Star season. So, like, I don't even think they put it on the same plane.
Mm.
So I'm not really sure that we should either.
No. Not totally.
But it is better. It is better.
Yeah. I think All Stars has gotten better and better recently too, as they've done it.
Every season
each season has gotten a little better. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We don't need the built-in sound effects. Truly, I literally could not agree more.
Yeah. So following this daily challenge, things were interesting because obviously it's not a duo that's making this decision now. It's just one person, so a little bit easier. We've seen a stalemate in the season where two people couldn't agree and had to go into elimination themselves. So right here, Rachel, just all the power, all the decision-making authority here. So one thing that I thought was interesting, because we got on Casey a little bit last week, because I think it was last week or maybe the week before, because Jenny was complaining that she was constantly the target on her team, that no one else would ever volunteer or go to bat for her. And Casey is talking about how, like, well, sorry, you just have to make relationships. Like too bad. And then you had this conversation between Casey and Rachel here, where Casey is talking to Rachel like, oh, like, I know it's always been this like unspoken thing, but I would love to keep working with you. And it's like, well, no.
Yeah, Rachel was like, huh?
That's not how
Rachel was like, it's so unspoken that I didn't even know it existed.
Right. And I'm like, so maybe Casey's not quite as good at some of the social stuff as she thinks she is all the time.
Casey sucks.
Right. And it's like, because
there were a couple of Casey moments in this episode that kind of irked me.
And I'm done with a capital D-O-N-E.
Yeah. And like, listen, I get it. Like the Vacation Alliance, they're a decent sized alliance. They're all pretty good competitors. They do well. So yeah, it's easy to tell other people that their social game isn't good enough when your alliance keeps winning and you never have to worry about getting thrown in. But the second that they don't, all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, we've always had this unspoken thing, right? I know I never said it, but it's like,
and like, I feel like she often like confuses social game with like, if I just stay quiet, everyone will do things for me. Because like, even like just in the competition, like before we even got into like who won anything, when TJ was going through like, all right, this is how many equations everybody got right or whatever, she was like, all right, Kyland, are you sure you're the calculator? That's really all you could get right. It's like, were you contributing to the math of this?
Did
like,
you do anything?
How are you? You were there too. You could have gotten more right. Why is this all on Kyland? One guy is smart, so now he has to carry the entire team.
Casey this season seems to want to put everything on everyone else. Okay. I know that this is Gina's husband, even though she has forsaken his name. But the treatment towards Josh in this episode was absolutely repulsive.
I agree. I want to hear it because I know you mentioned. Yeah, I know you mentioned that you had some thoughts on this and wanted to defend Josh, who we are hard on sometimes. So I'm very curious. I would love for you to just.
I'm hard on Josh because, like, I think he plays these games decently, especially for somebody who doesn't always put up in these physical competitions. Like, I do think that he does maneuver his way through these things decently because he has seen some finals that I don't think he deserved to see. But with that and I don't like him as a person. I'm gonna just add that. Like, I'm sorry. Like his behavior at House Chops was deplorable.
Oh my God!
I'll never forgive him for it. I was just very disgusted. But
Kyle's not wrong.
But
I disagree. But okay.
You disagree because he was nice to you, but he was rude to us. I don't want to say us. He was definitely rude to me. I don't want to speak for John.
Oh no, he totally just left me out to dry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Josh will get the Kenny treatment from me going forward if I
Oh
ever see him out
no.
again.
He
Oh
and
Um,
that's why I
no.
was so surprised too, because there are other people that we met that night that were way nicer than I ever would have expected. And I met Josh thinking, "Oh, like this is a really nice guy. I can't wait to like tell him how much I enjoy watching him on the challenge now after Big Brother." And he was just so like didn't
mhm.
yeah, just
Ah!
Horrible,
he was a
horrible.
jerk. He was a
There
jerk. He
are
was a jerk.
people who I expected to be colder that were not. Of all the
Yeah,
people that we have met from these House Chops events, my interaction with him was by far the worst.
the worst. The
So
worst. Yeah.
that so much so that I have absolutely no interest in ever reapproaching this man again. Like absolutely never.
No, yeah. I agree.
With that being said, he did not deserve the smoke that he got in this episode. Why is it Josh's responsibility to make sure that everyone else's game is good? Everyone just kept saying, "Oh, well, Josh, you've got this close relationship with Rachel. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How come? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen?" It's like, I saw at no point Casey or Devin making a case for themselves in any way. All they did was just keep expecting Josh to save the day. And listen, this is not Giles' first challenge, just like it's not ours. In what world did you ever think that Josh was going to go that hard for you? Josh goes
But
hard
why
for
should he
nobody
have
other than
to?
himself. Okay.
Like,
Well, I would say that maybe one should if you're in a proper alliance, right? I feel like that's what an alliance is. It's not quite it's one thing just to vote in other people's favor, but if you also don't have conversations behind closed doors that are in support of me, that's not a proper alliance. I can get behind that.
I mean, I'm not saying that he shouldn't ride for them and he shouldn't fight for them. Like, he absolutely should, but why is all of the onus on that? Like, why
Right.
does, if
Way
this
too
didn't
much.
work out, it's like, oh, I guess Josh fucked up. And it's like,
Yeah,
well, no, there were a
exactly.
lot
What
of
were you
factors that went
doing
into
to
that.
make sure that you weren't going to be in this situation? And what were you doing to make yourself get out of it? No,
Right,
everything was Josh's fault in this. And I don't think that it should have been.
right.
Yeah.
Um, like,
Yeah.
unless you're going to have proper conversation, because Rachel said herself, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about, this unspoken alliance. You've never spoken to me before.
Right.
And it's like, so because you failed to make the connections that you keep saying that everyone should be making if you want to be successful in this game, and now you want to push it all on Josh, unacceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable. Like, leave him alone.
I could not agree more. I had the exact same thought watching this, and just the way that Devin was reacting, and Casey's stupid confessionals, and like they all just seemed like this whole vacation alliance seemed like the biggest bunch of babies I've ever seen on this show. Like the entitlement, the spoiled, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting
Mm-hmm.
my way, so like why is this like how could this be happening? This isn't fair. Like that's what it felt like. It was like you're finally getting a little taste. You've been running the game the whole time, and the last few seasons you guys have done very well. And it's like screw you guys. Like this is how the game is played. Someone got
Mm-hmm.
the upper
Mm-hmm.
hand on you this time, and I'm so glad it was Rachel that ended up being the winner and having the power, um, and like knocking them down a couple of pegs. That's why this
Yeah.
episode was so. I enjoyed this episode, and I've been a little fatigued on this show and this season, but like this episode I actually really enjoyed because from start to finish we saw Rachel being a badass in the daily challenge, the vacation alliance being in trouble, and then finally two of them going home when we got to elimination. Like it was just such a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
satisfying episode.
So good. So good. I also and I would still be part of the young family if I wasn't already booed up in the Basal house. But Kyland in this episode impressed me in the sense that I like how he views the game. He's like, I'm not going to say, like, now that Rachel has put me up and has thrown me down in the sand, I'm not going to say that, like, she's not an enemy, but she's not an ally. She's just
Mhm.
not somebody I owe anything to. But we're not going into this with some, like, crazy, like, charged vendetta. Like, he views it as a game. These are the people that were available when I made this decision. So I made this decision based on that. It doesn't necessarily mean that she is actively working against you. And I appreciate just his view of things here.
Yeah, I thought that he handled that pretty well, and it was interesting to me because now, you know, we'll get into the elimination. But after the elimination, we found out from TJ that game was going to be blown a little bit wide open with the every man and every woman competing for themselves now. You're not competing with your era anymore. But there will still be targets, and you can choose from any era, anybody that you want. But it still has to be whichever man wins the elimination picks the women as targets, and whichever woman wins the elimination picks the men as targets. And Kyland did pick Rachel as one of his targets. So I am curious. I wonder if that's just a little bit like, hey, listen, we're still cool, but like we're even now. Like,
well, I mean, you do got to toss her something back.
Oh, sure.
It doesn't mean
I
I'm
mean.
gunning
Yeah.
for you, but like, you gave me one, I gave you one.
And that's exactly how I saw it. Yeah, that's why I was like,
yeah,
it kind of feels like, all right, we're good. We're even now. Like,
right. And his nomination of her as a target is still less than what she did to him. So it's like, I didn't directly put you in. I just put you in the line of fire, right? So we have like the crosshair here. I didn't like land on you, you know? Yeah.
Could you just show the crosshair thing again and the...
Oh, I don't. What did you like about it?
It's the whole thing. I was hoping to just see it. Yeah, like...
I don't even remember what I did. Because I really was. I was really trying to just illustrate my point here. So I don't remember. I'm sorry. I was trying to think of like Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt.
Like we used to play. Didn't that dog piss you off? By the way. Like, get down.
I loved Duck Hunt. I feel like we're aging ourselves a little bit right now.
That's all right. Because if you weren't down with classic Nintendo, then you are not an OG. You're not a down ass bitch. I fuck with you considerably less if you're not down with Duck Hunt. Sorry.
Duck Hunt
and
is
I
one
also
of those,
I like the Cloud one too. Cloud shooting.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get mocked by that dog.
The Duck Hunt is a timeless classic. All right,
it is. Gosh. If you don't get behind that bush, I'm gonna shoot you. Your mocking face. Kyler's old enough.
Yeah. All right. So
I always take us off. Sorry.
No, it's always good. I guess so. Obviously, Rachel ultimately ended up sending in Kylan and Casey against Tori and Devin. But there was a chance that she was considering putting in Laurel versus Tori. Do you see, was there any part of you that thought maybe she should have done that and said that, have Laurel and Tori go after each other, maybe kind of keep Era 3 and 4 happy with you then, because it's not like you nominated anybody from there. You kept Era 4 safe. Era 3 was going in anyway for losing the elimination, and now it's just Era 2. You know what I mean? Like, as a lone wolf with Rachel, do you think there would have been any benefit to sending in Laurel and Ryan instead of Casey and Kylan?
No. And I think I say that because of the position that Laurel is in, because of a lot of the drama that she has created and some of the things that have gone on. Laurel is very much a free agent, and she's not really aligned with anyone, but she's a really, really strong competitor. So I do think it's a good move to align yourself with her, if you can, because she's the perfect shield. Not that that's really what I want for Laurel, because like I still do like her at the end of the day, even if she has carried herself in not the best way. But somebody who is going to win things going forward, like I would imagine she's going to win something in the future. So she's going to be in a position of power, and that's something that I feel like she can pay back and will, because you can say what you want about her, but I do think that Laurel is rather loyal, and she'll pay it back. So for as long as Laurel was in the mix, I don't think that you should have thrown her in.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I do agree.
Because she is kind of a lone wolf at this stage. Like, Era 1 did not do a good job about making some of those connections with the other eras early on. So Rachel's got to make that now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Um, it's interesting too because we're going to be going into like a different phase of the game, right? Where everyone was competing as an era before, and now it's more of an individual game with every man and woman for themselves. And I feel like there are some players, and it'd be interesting to even think about like each player, but we don't have time for that. But like I feel like there are some players that it's more beneficial for them to be kind of competing on a team as an era. Then there's other people that it's probably more beneficial for them to be competing as an individual. And I feel like Laurel, it doesn't really matter. Like she's just so good that whether she's on a team or she's playing a solo game, like she is scary and you don't want to piss her off. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know. It's just interesting. For some reason, I think of Michelle as somebody that like is much better off if she has a team around her rather than being
Yeah,
in a solo game. You know, like
I for
there are
sure.
Yes.
certain players that I think
Yes.
it's just a very different case for each player. But so like not that Rachel knew they were going to be changing up the style of the game, but I feel like especially now knowing it's like kind of an individual thing, it's like all right, don't piss off Laurel because now that she's on her own and you threw her in, like she will literally only see you,
Mm,
and and now you're just done. Like
yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I completely agree.
um Okay, before we get into the elimination, any other thoughts about the episode? I think we're
Yeah, I don't
pretty
think
much there,
so.
right? This I felt like the last few episodes have been very like cut and dry. It's like we had a little bit of an opening, a daily challenge, like two things happened at club night, and then we went right to elimination.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it.
Yeah.
Um, so,
I
but
really
this,
liked it that way, though. I
yeah,
did.
yeah, nice and easy. But so tonight's elimination, or last night's elimination rather, was called. It was Cable Connection Showdown. And in this one, players would have to untangle a bunch of intertwined cables and then use them to fit into the right power outlets to light up a motherboard that would hold all of the logos for all 40 seasons of the challenge. If you had each cord connected correctly, it would light up all 40 logos. Um, so you'd have to figure that out to win. Whoever did it first would win. And Devin was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Kylan.
He was not good at this
Yeah,
one.
Kylan did very well. I will say that. Like, I think
Oh, sure.
it would have been hard to beat Kylan no matter what Devin did. But I feel
Hmm.
like I was just a little surprised at Devin's performance in this because I do think that he's usually pretty good at like more puzzle sort of
I was gonna say, isn't he one
strategy
of those
type things.
people that like refers to himself as the puzzle king, and he's like the puzzle guy? Isn't that like
Yes.
his whole personality?
Hmm.
Um, yeah. And
It is.
in this episode, we even saw Bananas referring to a former elimination that he competed in with Devin. That was not exactly the same, but sort of similar. And Devin took out Bananas in that elimination. So I don't know. I was just very surprised to see how poorly Devin. I wasn't surprised to see Kylan win. I was just surprised to see Devin lose
It
so
was
badly.
not even remotely close.
Yeah.
Like there was no shot.
Right, right, and that couldn't have been further from
Oh my god.
the opposite, completely the complete opposite
Hmm.
for Tori and Casey. It was so close that they weren't even sure who won at first because both Casey and Tori got their boards lit up basically at the same time. We were told Tori just happened to hit that button a little bit quicker than
I
Casey.
was wondering, like, I had a moment where I was like, "Is this a shenanigan?" Because you heard, like, there were a couple people up there that, like, full stop, were like, "Oh, Casey just won that." Like, I heard
Yeah,
someone say it, and I was
right.
like, "Is this a shenanigan?"
I did. Yeah, we were talking about how close Tori and Casey, Kyle for just coming back. Tori and Casey were in that
Mhm.
elimination. You know, another opportunity for shenanigans.
Because I was saying, I heard someone say, "Oh, Casey won that," and they were all like, I feel like from upstairs, it seemed like Casey may have won.
It came really close, and I don't fully understand what this game was.
Thank God,
Like,
because I was also very confused.
yeah, like so you untangle the plugs and like what? Oh, I don't know what plug goes where. Don't you? Based on how many prongs there are and the shape of the plug. Like, what are you
Well,
talking
I
Yep.
about?
think they had
Like,
multiple. I think they had different like sizes of plugs, but like they were repeated. So like there might have been three of this kind of plug and three of this kind of one and three of that one. So you technically had different options to fit into different outlets, like
I was
multiple
also
options
watching
to
this. I
fit
was
into
like,
the
I
same
don't really
outlets.
know what they're doing right now. Like,
Well, I I also
Yeah,
picked
I
up
was
from
kind of feeling it was shenanigans all
I
along, to be
I
honest.
also I picked up from Kylan because he was trying to figure out he was down to his last two, and he was like, "Oh crap, that's right. Each cord lights up two logos." So he had it plugged into one at one point, unplugged it, plugged it into another one that was the same size and shape of the plug that he had, and it lit up and was good. So there must have been like 20 cables, um, and then you just have to figure out which outlet each cord goes in. Um, so
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It just looks strange, and it didn't look 100% clear on our end, which
Mm.
makes me think that shenanigans could have been possible. Um, Liz wants to know if he threw it.
Devin,
I kind of, yeah.
Why would he though?
I don't know why he would, but it did seem, I don't know, it seems so like lopsided. Like I just would have expected better from him. Like even if Kylan moves super fast, like for Devin to be that far behind, the way that the edit at least presented it,
yeah,
just
I
feels
mean,
strange.
yeah, I hear that. I mean, I think I do think there are shenanigans sometimes in the show. I'm not gonna deny that. But I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't think that Devin would throw that. Knowing him and his ego, the fact that he
And that's it. Michelle was still
yeah,
there.
he's like
Yeah,
leaving
yeah, yeah,
Michelle
yeah,
now
yeah.
in the game too. I don't
Hmm.
know. I
Hmm.
don't think he would have thrown it. I think he just was too cocky. Maybe thought he was going to be able to run away with it, and then didn't have the right strategy. And Kyland is just very good, So it's like once you start to fall behind a little bit, it's over.
That's it.
So
Yeah, that's the world I'd rather live in.
yeah,
I'd rather
um,
Kylan's win be legit.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mhm.
But this was a very big blow for the Vacation Alliance. Two of their top members really.
It's also
Uh,
a very big blow for me.
it is. It's a big blow for you. Yeah.
Team of
Um,
Gino Martin really took a hit.
let's pull it up again just to see.
Yeah, let's
So
give another gander.
yeah. So
Oh man.
Gina lost Casey and Devin this episode. You are down to 5 members of your team
Down
with
to 5.
You
Cara,
got good
Maria,
people left. Got good people
yeah,
left.
Cara,
Mhm.
Josh, Olivia, Michelle, and Nehemiah. I
Olivia looks like she's kind of booed up with Theo. Be interesting to see how
Mhm.
that
That's right.
continues.
That's right. Yeah. Um, I still have 6, so we're only separated by 1. So I've got Jordan, Laurel, Derek,
Wait, that feels a
Tori,
little better.
And once
Tori,
again,
and
yours are
Theo.
going out in the order,
Yeah.
in like ascending order,
I know.
which is really awesome.
I just wish Kellyanne was still there.
Yeah,
But
she messed you up. She messed you up.
and then Team Petty over here. You've actually still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, right? So you have the most players remaining.
Thank you.
Shock,
Aviv,
shock,
yeah.
surprise, surprise.
You've
I
got
actually am surprised because the way that things were looking a few weeks ago, I didn't think I'd be looking this good. But I have problems on my team. I have problems. Um,
what are some of the problems you feel that you have?
Jenny and Ryan are problems. Um, I think Jenny is a very, very strong challenger, but she really lacks those social connections. And like, you
Mhm.
can only be a target so many times and keep getting yourself out of it before it just catches up with you.
Actually, speaking of that, can I just ask you one question? Because Kylan picked the targets for the women this week. Could have picked anybody. Did not have to pick one woman from each era, and he still picked Jenny as a target. Just what do you?
You
Any thoughts
so
on that?
did.
It also just means, though, that Jenny is not doing anything as an individual to make relationships with other people because Kyland is a very like analytical player, and if he sees any benefit in you, then he wouldn't do that. And it is a little surprising to me that Jenny has not shown any value, and you're on the same team. So it's like, what did you do wrong to make yourself not seem valuable to him?
Mm.
I don't know. I think that Jenny's been getting the short stick all year. I get
I
the,
think she's beginning.
I
I can get behind that too, but like
right.
when it's Kylan though, that's what changes my opinion on that because he
And
doesn't really care what other people think about
yeah.
what blowback it might be if I'm protecting this person. This is the person that I see value in. This is the person who I'm playing this game with. Like he doesn't play like that. We saw that from prior seasons of the challenge. So the fact that somebody on your own team you see as expendable,
I'd like to I wish we could talk to Jenny or someone else that's been around
yeah,
this
like Jenny,
situation,
what the hell
just
was
to
going
get
What the
more,
on?
hell's going on?
because I
What's
also
going on?
I feel like we don't see a lot of stuff I know in the edit, and
Hmm.
I know we hear from people like Jenny doesn't have any personal connections. She doesn't have any personal connections, but it feels like there are times that she does. It seems like she tries to talk to people, and then they're just like, whatever, Jenny. Like, just Jenny's always complaining, and it's like, but she's trying to talk to you. She's trying. Like it almost feels a little bit. And even here, seeing Kyler's comment here saying she's got the short stick since winning, they didn't invite her back, and I'm like, it almost feels like an Amber B type thing. Amber B came in and won right
Mm,
away, and everybody just hated her the whole time. Did we ever see
yeah.
Amber B do anything wrong? And that's why I feel like I get it's Kyland. I get like he probably, he doesn't feed into the same stuff as other people do with like caring what everybody thinks. But I just feel like some of this feels a little over the top with Jenny. It's like, I don't know. I don't like it.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah.
But, and then,
So
yeah, and especially to see like we talked about in this stream with Casey talking about how Jenny doesn't have any personal connections. And then here comes Casey now that she's a target being like, oh, Rachel, that unspoken alliance that we never talked about? Like,
You know
that's
that
still
alliance we
good,
don't
right?
actually have, but I'm trying
And
to convince you we have
yeah,
because I'm saying it's
hmm
right.
hmm
unspoken, so then you
And
can't say that it never happened.
and
yeah, and
Rachel's
Rachel's
sitting
like, this
there.
is news to me.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, everybody lay off Jenny.
Leave her
But
alone.
yeah.
Jenny from the block.
But all the targets that were chosen, we had Tori selecting. Did I already say this? Derek, Ryan, and Bananas, right? And then Kylan
Yeah.
selected Rachel, Aviv, and Jenny. And that's where we were with targets. For the next on that we saw, Jordan is coming for Bananas, from what we heard. Tori she's getting called out for protecting too many people. I think specifically the line was like, "How many guys are you protecting?" or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. It looked like Derek. Derek apparently, it looked like he was getting heated with somebody. Like almost had to be held back. So I'm curious what's going to set Derek off in one of these upcoming episodes. It didn't necessarily look like it was like a next on for the next episode. It almost looked. And TJ did say that we got down to 40 to 20 players in this episode.
Yeah.
So maybe it was more of like a mid-season. Like here's what's coming
Hmm.
up.
Sure.
Mid-season
Um,
chicken.
yeah, but those are some of the things to look forward to.
And we still have yet to see what these rankings are doing with these people that are being eliminated.
Oh, the karma things, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like, where is that? You must have also given some positive karma points or something to people who are no longer here. So it's like, what's happening with this?
Right. Actually, it was funny to me that they showed tonight because I feel like they've shown them. They showed them in the beginning of the season. I don't think they've shown those karma points in
I
every single
forgot about it.
episode,
No.
right? Um, so it was interesting that they showed them tonight, and of course, it's Devin and Casey. So I was honestly just annoyed with watching them give the points out because they got to Rachel and Devin's like 0, and I'm like, Rachel didn't even put you in. Like you automatically went in because your error lost. All right, like stop being
Right.
so salty because your stupid vacation lines didn't get their way this episode. Like I'm tired of it.
He was gross. I'm over him too.
Yeah,
I want so badly to like him because he's really hot, but like he just sucks. Like he's not even like a fun suck. Like Bananas sucks, but he's so much fun. Like he can be equally annoying, but I still enjoy him for some reason. Devin, I don't get any enjoyment out of anymore. Like he's just
Thank God, because I was the one lone person being like, I can't stand him, and you were all like, but he's so silly.
well,
he
I don't
is
think I
silly
ever said
until we
he's so
see him
silly.
like
I said I think he is incredibly annoying and he knows exactly what he's doing, and that's why he's great.
No, it's so grating. It's so grating.
I mean, he is terrible. I'll fully admit that, but I think that's what he brings to the show.
Hmm. Yeah.
But all right. You guys have any other thoughts on the Challenge 40?
No,
I don't think
none.
so.
Okay.
Feel satisfied.
What do we have coming up? I guess with Big Brother being over, we're just down to Survivor 47, right, in the Challenge 40.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm guessing our next week ahead will be Monday. We'll figure out the time with Mikey for Survivor 47 stream, and then next Thursday we'll be back for another Challenge 40 stream. And I think that's it, right? Find us on the socials at Strat Chat Pod. We're out there everywhere but Blue Sky. So don't find us, don't look for us there. And I think that's it. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will see you soon.